You are listening this right now because something inside you knows it is time to break free from the same cycles you have been repeating for years. You have felt it. That subtle frustration that no matter how hard you push, no matter how much you try, reality seems to throw you back into the same patterns. It is not coincidence. It is not bad luck. It is the hidden lesson that has been trying to get your attention all along. The truth is that personal growth and manifestation are not about forcing reality to bend with sheer will. They are about recognizing the mechanism that has been shaping your life in silence. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Once you feel it, you cannot forget it. This is not just motivation. This is direct guidance toward conscious creation. Think about the moments when you caught yourself daydreaming about a better version of your life. Maybe it was more abundance. Maybe it was confidence. Maybe it was the freedom to wake up and feel joy instead of dread. And notice how even those small moments of imagining seem to change something around you. The energy in the room, the way people responded, the shift in your own body. Those flashes were not fantasies. They were proof that your focus itself has always been the hidden engine. That your observation has always been selecting which version of reality you step into. Every thought, every belief, every repetition of doubt or hope has been quietly instructing life on what to deliver next. Most people miss this. They chase motivation like a drug. They push themselves to repeat affirmations without understanding why some words work and others fall flat. They try to manifest by begging reality to change instead of realizing that reality is waiting for them to change their own inner stance first. That is why cycles repeat. Not because life is cruel, not because you are weak, but because the mechanism of attention has been running automatically, replaying the same instructions over and over. Your frustration has been training. Your setbacks have been preparation. Your longing has been the signal pointing you to the truth hiding in plain sight. Right now, as you read, notice something. Notice how simply focusing on the idea that your awareness affects your outcomes makes you feel different. The air feels sharper. The words feel heavier. This is not imagination. This is the shift itself beginning. Awareness is not passive. Awareness is active. And when you stop seeing yourself as someone watching life and start recognizing yourself as the one shaping it, everything changes. Your attention is not just watching circumstances unfold. Your attention is instructing reality in real time. Every moment, every second, every choice of what to notice and what to ignore is sending a signal. You have been told your whole life to work harder, to hustle more, to prove yourself, to earn success. But that has never been the full story, because how many times did you work harder and end up back at square one? How many times did you grind and only watch doors slam in your face? The truth is that growth is not about punishment. It is not about endlessly pushing. It is about shifting your observation from lack to possibility, from fear to courage, from defeat to creation. And that shift does not happen once. It happens every single moment you choose to see yourself as capable instead of broken. Every moment you choose to hold focus on what you want instead of what you fear. That is manifestation in motion. Your mind has already been manifesting. Every doubt you repeated, every complaint you obsessed over, every story you told yourself about being stuck. That was manifestation too, but unconscious, automatic, unrecognized. Now you are stepping into the stage where you recognize the mechanism at work, where you stop being the prisoner of unconscious cycles and start being the operator of conscious creation. That is why you are reading this. That is why this message found you, because the timing is exact. Because your awareness has reached the threshold where this recognition can finally click. The key is not about technique. It is not about repeating 100 affirmations or following a strict routine. It is about clarity. It is about remembering that your thoughts are not just inside your head. They are blueprints. They are direct instructions to the reality field that surrounds you. And that field is responsive. It listens. It reflects. It mirrors whatever frequency your attention holds most consistently. You have already seen this. Think back. Times when you expected the worst and it unfolded just as you feared. Times when you held a little faith and suddenly doors cracked open that you never imagined. That is not chance. That is not random. That is manifestation through attention. And here is what you need to understand. This is not something you turn on one day and off the next. This is not a tool you pick up when you feel inspired and drop when you feel tired. This is always running, always shaping, always responding. The only choice you have is whether you operate it consciously or unconsciously, whether you let fear hold the controls or whether you take them back. Once you see this, once you accept it, you can no longer play victim to the same cycles. Because every moment becomes a choice, and every choice is creative power. So feel the shift beginning, right now, as these words sink in. Feel the recognition that you are not powerless, that you never were, that you have always been creating, that even the setbacks were not wasted. They were teaching you to observe differently. They were forcing you to build the strength to see beyond appearances, to trust that your awareness has always been the true generator of change. You are not waiting for motivation. You are not waiting for life to give you permission. You are the signal. You are the message. You are the creator, stepping into recognition of your own power. This is only the beginning, because once you truly accept that your attention is the hidden mechanism, the rest unfolds with unstoppable force. Growth accelerates. Manifestation becomes natural. Motivation stops being a struggle and starts being a current you ride. And what once felt like effort transforms into alignment. This is part 1, the recognition stage, the doorway, the first step toward conscious creation. The next parts will take you deeper into application, stability, and mastery. But for now, let this truth echo. You are not stuck. You are not waiting. You are already manifesting. And the choice is no longer whether it works. The choice is only whether you will claim it. Now that you see the mechanism, the real work begins. Recognition is powerful, but it is not enough on its own. You have probably had moments of clarity before. Moments when you felt unstoppable, when the energy was high, when everything clicked for a brief time. And then what happened? The cycle returned. The old doubts slipped back in. The patterns reappeared. You felt like you lost the spark. That is not failure. That is the test. Because recognition without stability collapses under pressure. And the world will always test the strength of your focus until you prove that your observation is stronger than your old programming. So the question becomes simple. How do you hold the line? How do you stop slipping back into the cycle? The answer is not about controlling every thought. That is impossible. The answer is about training your awareness to return to alignment faster each time you drift. Think of it like gravity. Old habits pull you back. Old stories drag you down. But every time you redirect your attention to possibility, you weaken that gravity. Every time you refuse to feed the same story of limitation, you cut another thread. This is not about perfection. This is about repetition of clarity, about choosing again and again until the new state becomes natural. You already know what happens when you let fear run unchecked. You have lived that story. You have seen how quickly negativity multiplies when you give it your focus. But the same principle works with growth. When you choose hope, when you choose courage, when you choose vision, the energy multiplies. The opportunities line up. People respond differently. Your own body responds differently. That is the beginning of stability, not chasing highs but building consistency. Not forcing change, but holding focus long enough for reality to reorganize itself. And here is where most people give up. They expect instant results. They want manifestation in a single night. They want motivation to last forever without effort. And when it does not, they declare it broken. They quit. But the truth is that reality reflects your dominant state, not your temporary flashes. It listens to the quality of your attention most often, not just in brief moments of excitement. So the work is not about demanding instant proof. The work is about building the strength to stay aligned even when proof has not yet appeared. That is faith in action. That is focus in practice. That is manifestation in motion. You may have already noticed this in your life. Times when you gave up just before the shift. Times when you lost patience and fell back into the old story. Looking back, you can see it. The signs were there. The momentum was building. but the cycle one because you let the old pattern take the wheel one more time. This is why stability is everything, because recognition without stability is like fire without fuel. It burns bright but burns out. Stability feeds the flame until it becomes unstoppable. How do you create that stability? By learning to observe yourself in real time, by catching the moment when doubt creeps in and refusing to feed it, by noticing when fear tries to take over and shifting back to vision. Not once, not twice, but as many times as it takes until the new observation becomes your default setting. This is not glamorous work. It is not the sudden high of breakthrough. It is steady. It is repetitive. It is choice after choice after choice. And this is why so few people master it. But if you do, if you keep choosing, the results will not just appear. They will compound. They will multiply. They will transform your entire experience. Your awareness is like a lens. When the lens is cloudy, everything looks distorted. When the lens is clean, reality comes into sharp focus. Every day you are either letting the lens cloud with old doubts or clearing it through conscious choice. That is the discipline. That is the practice. You do not need special tools. You do not need endless rituals. You need to take control of the lens. That means refusing to let your attention settle on stories of defeat. That means training yourself to return to clarity faster and faster until it becomes your natural state. Understand this. The world does not respond to what you want occasionally. It responds to what you hold consistently. If you want growth, hold growth in focus. If you want freedom, hold freedom in focus. If you want abundance, hold abundance in focus. Not by begging, not by forcing, but by training your attention until it becomes the dominant frequency. That is how manifestation locks in. That is how cycles break. That is how new realities open. So take this as your directive. Stop chasing instant highs. Stop waiting for the big moment that fixes everything at once. Instead, commit to stability. Commit to clarity. Commit to holding focus longer than the old patterns can pull you back. Because once you stabilize, the whole game changes. Life stops swinging you back and forth. Motivation stops being a fight. Manifestation stops being hit or miss. Everything aligns because you finally hold steady enough for reality to listen. This is part 2, the stage of stability. The foundation that separates fleeting motivation from lasting transformation. The recognition you had in part 1 is only as strong as the stability you create here. If you build it, nothing can shake you. If you ignore it, cycles will repeat again and again until you learn. The choice is in your hands, and every moment you choose clarity is another step into creation. Once stability is in place, something powerful begins to happen. Momentum takes over. Instead of fighting every moment to stay focused, you start to feel carried by your own energy. Motivation stops being something you chase and starts being something that grows on its own. This is the point where manifestation accelerates, because now you are not just holding clarity in flashes, you are sustaining it, and sustained clarity multiplies results. Reality starts to bend in ways that feel impossible to deny. Opportunities appear. Connections form. Breakthroughs happen. Not because they suddenly arrived out of nowhere, but because your observation finally lined up with them long enough for them to enter your field. Think about what momentum really means. At first, it feels like a struggle. Every choice feels heavy. Every redirection feels like work. But as you repeat, as you hold, as you stabilize, the energy begins to build. Small wins appear, tiny shifts in how people treat you, little bursts of inspiration that show up at the exact right time. These are not random. These are signals. They are confirmations that the momentum is building, and the more you notice them, the stronger they get. Because attention is fuel. What you acknowledge grows. What you celebrate expands. What you ignore fades. Momentum is simply the compounding effect of consistent focus. This is why expansion is not about doing more. It is not about piling on endless tasks. It is about amplifying the frequency you are already holding. When you observe growth, you get more growth. When you observe abundance, you get more abundance. When you observe possibility, you get more doors opening. The expansion happens naturally when momentum builds, and your only job is to keep feeding it with attention. not desperate attention, not needy attention. Calm, steady, confident attention that knows reality is listening. And here is the most shocking part. The moment you hit momentum, external proof stops mattering. You no longer obsess over when it will happen or how it will come. You know it is coming because the energy has shifted inside you. You feel different. You think different. You act different. That inner shift is the true sign of manifestation at work. The results outside are just reflections of what has already changed within. This is why people will begin to comment on your energy. They will notice something about you feels different even before the visible results arrive. That is momentum speaking louder than words. But you must protect it, because momentum can slip if you let old patterns regain control. Expansion requires vigilance. It requires discipline. Not the kind of discipline that exhausts you, but the kind of discipline that keeps your observation clean. That means noticing when fear tries to creep in and refusing to feed it. That means noticing when doubt whispers and refusing to listen. That means choosing again and again until the new state becomes so strong that the old patterns cannot compete. Protecting momentum is protecting your future. And as expansion continues, you will notice something extraordinary. Life begins to organize itself around your focus. You think about opportunities and they appear. You hold a vision and it manifests through channels you could not have planned. You feel gratitude and more reasons to feel grateful show up. This is not magic. This is alignment multiplied by momentum. And it will feel natural. It will feel obvious. Because once your awareness stabilizes and expands, reality has no choice but to reflect it. Momentum also transforms your sense of identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone trying to change and start seeing yourself as someone who has already changed. You no longer identify with the cycles you broke. You no longer carry the weight of old stories. You embody the new state. You walk differently. You speak differently. You expect differently. And reality responds to that expectation. This is the stage where manifestation feels effortless. Not because you are doing nothing, but because everything you do is aligned. But do not mistake momentum for completion. Expansion is endless. There is always more to create, always more to experience, always more to express. Growth does not stop once you reach one goal. Growth continues as long as you hold the recognition that your observation creates. The danger here is comfort. The temptation is to settle once momentum delivers the first wave of results. But if you stop feeding it, if you let the energy stagnate, the cycle can return. Not as punishment. Not as failure, but as a reminder that attention never stops creating. So the challenge of part 3 is to ride the wave without losing awareness, to keep feeding momentum with focus, gratitude, and clarity, to recognize that expansion is natural, but only if you continue to observe through the lens of possibility. This is how breakthroughs become normal. This is how abundance becomes natural. This is how motivation stops being a struggle and becomes a state of being. This is part 3, the stage of expansion, the point where momentum takes over and manifestation multiplies. The recognition of part 1 gave you the key. The stability of part 2 gave you the foundation. Now momentum gives you the acceleration. And once this stage locks in, there is no limit to what reality can reflect back to you. Because once expansion begins, creation has no ceiling. Mastery is not a mystery. Mastery is the natural outcome of recognition, stability, and momentum. Once you see how observation shapes your reality, once you hold it long enough to break cycles, once you ride the momentum into expansion, the next stage unfolds on its own. Mastery is simply living from that state every day. Not sometimes. Not only when it is easy. Not only when the world is cheering you on, but in every moment, in every situation, in every challenge. Because mastery is not about controlling life. Mastery is about controlling the quality of your observation, no matter what life throws at you. This is the point where personal growth stops being a project and starts being your identity. You no longer say, I am trying to change. You say, I am growth itself. You no longer say, I am working on manifestation. You say, manifestation is how I live. You no longer wait for motivation. You become motivation. It flows through you. It carries you. It inspires others without effort. That is mastery. That is the stage where nothing outside can shake the state you hold inside. But do not confuse mastery with perfection. You will still face challenges. You will still experience doubt. You will still encounter moments of weakness. The difference is that now you know how to return to clarity instantly. You do not stay trapped in fear. You do not spiral into old stories. You catch yourself, redirect, and reset faster than ever. Mastery is recovery speed. Mastery is the ability to hold alignment through turbulence. Mastery is the refusal to let external noise rewrite your internal state. When you reach this stage, manifestation becomes predictable. Not because you know the exact details of how things will happen, but because you know with certainty that they will happen. You trust the process. You trust yourself. You trust the mechanism of observation that you now recognize as your creative interface with reality. And with that trust comes peace, a calm power, a steady confidence. You no longer chase results. You no longer beg for proof. You live in the knowing that creation is always responding to you. And here is the greatest gift of mastery. It does not just transform your life. It transforms the lives of everyone around you. People feel your energy. They see your example. They recognize something within themselves through the way you live. You become a mirror of possibility, a demonstration of what is possible when observation is claimed instead of wasted. And without forcing, without teaching, without even trying, you inspire others to step into their own recognition. That is leadership. That is influence. That is legacy. So now we arrive at the choice. Because information without action changes nothing. Recognition without decision fades. You have read these words. You have felt the truth stir inside you. You know this message did not reach you by accident. This is your moment to claim it, to stop waiting, to stop doubting, to stop repeating the same cycles that have already stolen enough of your time. This is your moment to step into mastery and declare the truth that has always been waiting inside you. Say it to yourself now with full awareness. I am the creator of my reality, not someday, not when the conditions are perfect, now, in this moment, in this state. Because once you declare it, once you recognize it, you can never go back to pretending you are powerless. You can never go back to blaming external circumstances. You can never go back to unconscious cycles. You know too much. You feel too much. You are awake now, and the only direction left is forward. This is part 4, the stage of mastery, the completion of the cycle and the beginning of a new one. Recognition gave you the key. Stability gave you the strength. Momentum gave you the expansion. And mastery gives you permanence. This is the foundation you carry for the rest of your life. This is the state that will shape every future experience. This is the truth you now live. So take the declaration, hold it, repeat it. Let it become the core of your identity. You are not waiting for growth. You are growth. You are not chasing manifestation. You are manifestation. You are not searching for motivation. You are motivation. And from this moment on, reality has no choice but to reflect what you now know. The cycle is broken. The power is yours. The key has always been within your awareness. And now you claim it fully. This is the ending of the old story and the beginning of the new. This is your mastery. This is your creation. This is your life.